Welcome to the American Nomad Podcast, hosted by the legend himself, or as I refer to him, the legend in his own mind, Rav Holly.
Welcome everyone to the American Nomad Podcast for Friday, August 6th, 2021. I'm your host, Rav Holly. I'm really excited today because I have an amazing guest in studio. My first guest in studio since before the pandemic. So I'm really excited about having a guest actually in the studio because that's why I built this studio to begin with. So my beautiful friend that I've known for almost a decade.
So long, yeah.
Vanessa Bejine
Yes.
is in the house, and I want to introduce you. Welcome to the American Nomad Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is exciting. Yes. I love your setup. It's really neat. Glad I can make it.
Thank you so much for joining me. And the reason I asked you to be on the podcast is because I have seen your music and where you've come from, where we started
Yes.
so long ago.
I know.
Like, what, almost 10 years ago?
It's
Or
like 8, yeah. So
8 or
close
9
to
years
10.
ago? Yeah.
It's close, yeah.
Because it was with Nye, right? When Nye set up celebrities.
Yeah, I think I did. That's when I met you. Yeah, that was the first time I met you. That was a while ago. And they were doing some hair promo or something like that.
For celebrity, what was the name of that? Celebrity.
Oh, what was that? I can't
the name
remember
of-
either.
Celebrity. I think it was just Celebrity Styles USA or something.
Oh, you know, that's like Celebrity Styles. I think
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Celebrity Styles USA or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually took a photo of you at that
Mm-hmm.
photo shoot that is still one of my favorite photos I've ever taken.
No way, really?
Yeah, when your hair was long,
Yes.
dark and long, and you kind of had your, I don't know, you had this cute expression on your face. I'll actually show you guys in the video.
That's so fun. Well, my hair is still long. It's just up.
Yeah, it's just that. But your hair was super long then. It was like down almost. It was like your.
Yeah, that's
lower back.
I think my hair is probably like 2 inches shorter now,
Okay.
but it's just because it's up and.
Let's talk about, because you've just released two new singles. Well, you released one because of the pandemic, but you just did a video for it, which is called.
Yes. So I did recently. I did a music video for Better Days, which was I did that. I released that during COVID actually last year, and then we were supposed to shoot the music video around April of last year, but because I was like prime COVID time, it was a little bit hard, and it was just safer for us to just hold off. So yeah, it just did get pushed back, but so excited. We released the Better Days video 2 months ago, I think it was. Yeah, maybe a month and a half ago, something like that. Yeah.
And being a second AD and a music video director myself, I'm really impressed by the production value that's went into your music videos. So do you have, how are you booking? Do you have a management crew that's booking?
I don't. I used to. I'm actually doing everything by myself now. And the weird thing with this music video is I kind of had to learn how to edit myself because I was not, I actually hired people for the DP cinematographer to film it and someone to edit it and let them know what I was looking for ahead of time. You usually show them other video sample clips and I let them know, hey, lighting is very important to me and this is, the vintage look, and I did not get what I wanted. I was a little bit upset, but I just figured, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to do some video editing last minute myself. So yeah, it was definitely different for me than my very first video, Addicted. And finding the people, it's usually sometimes going to events, just networking, and I guess someone knows someone else. Sometimes it can be like Craigslist. Sometimes it's, I don't know if you're familiar with Bumble. There's like a business side to Bumble.
Oh, I didn't know there was a business side.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice
it's
to me.
Mm-hmm, so it's most people think of Bumble as like a dating site, but there's actually Bumble Business and Bumble Dating. So if you go Bumble Business, there's a lot of people who do collaborations, and that's how I was meeting a lot of the cinematographers.
That's really news. I have never even heard of that. I had no idea. I just thought Bumble was like Like just a dating site. I've never heard of this. This is all news to me.
Yeah, it's great. There's people who are looking to like start out. There's like people starting out that are willing to collaborate or fairly new, and they are very talented, like cinematographers, and they're willing, to work with you. So it's very good. Like anyone who's looking to collaborate with people in the industry. It could be photographers, videographers. There was artists. There was musicians. A lot of different people, definitely. Yeah.
So is this like a different app that you download?
So it's basically the same app. It was actually new for me too. But when I got on it, and someone was telling me that, try Bumble, and I thought it was just a dating site as well. So when you sign up, they'll say, "Are you signing up for dating or are you signing up for business?"
Oh, that makes sense.
And then you just do the drop down for business. And
so what if you've signed up for dating?
That's, my friend did both. I think she had to do 2 different profiles because she signed up for dating first, and then she also wanted to do business. But it's funny because you'll get some people that are looking to date and they accidentally sign up for business.
Right.
And so
and then they're like, what is going on right now? So the funny thing is, another thing that I've learned recently that I did not know this is now LinkedIn is actually a player. You know LinkedIn, old LinkedIn that's been dead
like
forever?
A business, yeah.
So if you don't know this, LinkedIn is like Facebook now. If you go look at LinkedIn, it looks like Facebook. Really? It's a whole social media site.
Wow.
And actually, a lot of people are actually using LinkedIn. You can actually live stream on LinkedIn just like you can YouTube or Twitch or anything like that, which I didn't even know. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And like the software that I do my podcast simulcast, like if somebody's out of the studio, like it has an ad for LinkedIn. I was like, what is that? That doesn't even make sense.
That's pretty neat.
But yeah, LinkedIn has really come up in the world, I guess because a lot of people are so anti-Facebook now.
I know. There's so much negative stuff on Facebook. Oh my goodness.
It's insane.
It is. Yeah. So LinkedIn. Okay. I mean, I have a profile there. I don't really use it that much, but yeah, I do have a profile on LinkedIn. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, my profile on LinkedIn, I really hadn't done anything with it in like years. Like somebody was telling me about Well, I found out through Clubhouse. Do you know what Clubhouse is?
Yeah. Yes.
So I found out through Clubhouse, like, because this one girl that was on Clubhouse that we were talking on Clubhouse in big rooms together. And then I was like, what's your Instagram? I'll add you on Instagram. She's like, I don't have Instagram. And like, she's like a CEO of like Berkshire Hathaway or something like that.
Wow.
And like New York, it's not Berkshire Hathaway, but it's a big investment firm or a big bank in New York City.
Wow.
And so I was like, you don't have Instagram? Like, what?
Right.
Like, what's wrong with you? And then she's like, no, I have LinkedIn. And so I actually literally went to her LinkedIn profile and added her. And then I kind of, poking around in LinkedIn, like, what is going on? It looks a lot different.
Interesting.
Like my profile still looks the same.
Yeah.
But like the LinkedIn whole thing has changed. Like there's like a timeline, and so I was like, wow,
I'll have to check it out. Yeah. Like I said, I signed up for it for like business, but then I never really used it. Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I mean, I signed up for it like when LinkedIn started, like probably 2008.
Oh, wow.
But I've never really used it. But the crazy thing on there, or the craziest thing is like I've never used it, but I have like 500 and something followers on there.
How?
I have no idea.
Maybe like all the contacts or something. I don't know.
Well, a lot of it comes from like 2012 when I did Olivia and John's music video.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So a lot of people were looking me up at different places back then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, my little 15 minutes of fame back in the day.
Still, that's something to be proud of.
I don't know about that. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time.
But you still got to work with, great people. You know what I mean?
True.
Those are high celebrities. So yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they still hold that reputation for Greece. So.
Right. I've actually been doing, I've did Bella Thorne's last 2 videos, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Wait, you said you were shooting someone. Who did you say you were shooting? It was
Khalid.
And Tate McRae, right? Yeah. How was that?
It was great. And it was funny because I thought it was going to be DJ Khaled.
Oh yeah, DJ Khaled. Yeah.
So I got to set, and I'm looking because I'm second AD, so I'm in charge of cast.
Okay.
We ended up having a second AD who ended up working with the cast, so I just didn't. But when I got to set, I thought I was going to be handling cast, so I was looking for DJ Khaled. Is it Khaled?
Yeah, DJ Khaled.
I was looking for DJ Khaled. I'm looking everywhere for him, and we did this scene with a city bus, and there's like a city bus driving around, and then they come and they get off the bus, and like the Khaled's call time was like later in the day, so we had Tate McRae early in the morning to get her ready and everything, and then we had Khaled like around, I don't know, 1 or 2 p.m.
Okay.
So I didn't catch him because then we had a second AD, and I pushed all the cast off to him to get them ready.
Gotcha.
So I hadn't seen, but I was like, and then like I walk out to the city bus and everybody's gotten off the bus, and I'm talking to the second AD, and I'm like, where's where's Khaled at?
That's so
And he
funny.
goes, he's standing right there. And I look over there and I'm like, okay, am I just losing my mind? Because I don't see big DJ Khaled, you know what I mean? And then I'm sitting there looking at him like, I'm like literally having like this surreal thing in my head going, am I just like getting Alzheimer's, or
like, are we looking at the same person?
what is going on? Because I see this young black kid there, but that's not. And I went, oh,
that's so funny.
Khalid,
Right.
Khalid.
One's Khalid, one's Khaled. Yeah.
Which I'm a huge fan of Khalid, and it was funny because earlier in the day, like Andrew, who was the second AD that ended up coming in, he was like, "Man, what do you think of this? What do you think of Khalid?" I'm like, you know, I'm not like a huge fan, but it's cool. You know what I mean? He's like, "Really?" He goes, "Man," he goes, "That's kind of crazy." He goes, and then once I found out it was Khalid, I was like, I don't even know who that is at first.
That's so funny.
And then he goes, "You don't know who it is?" He goes, he's pretty
yeah.
pretty famous. I'm like, I don't even, it didn't register. And then I went, Khalid, oh my God. I have like 15 of his songs in my phone. You know what I mean?
him,
Like
yeah.
better. No, that's Post Malone.
I can't think of the name of his songs.
Yeah, he's
but
got like a bunch
He's
of
got
good
hits,
songs.
for
Yeah,
sure.
a bunch of hits. And and the other thing is, I knew who he was before he got really super famous, because he's from El Paso, and somebody put like his music was like in an up and coming like magazine or something, or a video on YouTube, and I watched it, and it was like you know, like pop stars to watch, kind of like you've been.
Yeah,
like
like
I saw you
rising.
featured, like a rising star. And then I saw that he was from El Paso, and I'm from Texas, so I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And you know, and then I get to work with him, and I'm like, literally don't even know who he is.
Wow,
Like
that's so
such a-
neat. Where did you guys film it at?
We filmed we were like at this, I don't even remember exactly where it was. It wasn't in Hollywood. It was like over in the valley, but we were like at this college campus thing,
Oh, okay.
and we had the entire college campus.
Oh, nice.
And like only like maybe 4 or 5 people lived there on this college campus thing. So it's like, it looked more like an apartment complex, but we had the entire thing. I didn't even know you could rent it out. The whole day got thrown off for me, because when I got there, when I was going to set, like I got the directions from the producer. And so I'm driving over there, and they're telling me to look for this entryway. And so I'm looking for it. I ended up pulling into this residential neighborhood, parked, got out of my truck looking for it, because I'm like, where is it? And then I look, and I get back in my truck. I'm like, this isn't it. So I'm driving around, and I go to leave this residential neighborhood, and I see the Crafty van driving around. And then he gets out. The Crafty truck is driving around looking too. So I was like, where is this? And I kept seeing this long drive, but you know, in a production, there's supposed to be yellow signs out pointing, and there was no signs.
Yes.
So I ended up being like 15 minutes late, but I was looking for it for like 45 minutes, like literally driving right by
I've
it.
been there.
So I was like, by the time I got to set, I was like going, what in the, you know, what is
All
going
frazzled,
on today?
yeah.
All frazzled.
Yes.
And because I was going to be early.
Yes,
You know what
of
I mean?
course.
I was
And
gonna be-
naturally, that's how you.
I was going to be like 15, 20 minutes early, and then I
Yes.
ended up being like 30 minutes late. I was like,
I know how that is. I've been there for sure. Yeah.
but it was like I said, it was just like it was like some college campus, and I can't remember the name of it, but it just had this long drive, and I ended up pulling into this day school, university thing that had like a football field out back, and I'm like, well, this has got to be it. And then I drive around and I'm like, there's nobody here, this can't be it. So I kept looking over and I'm like, well, that's an apartment complex, so that can't be it. But sure enough,
it was.
Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. The only thing that looked like it was like some kind of like school, like private school or something.
And you didn't see anybody like outside or anything?
And they had a football field and everything. So I'm like, well, this has got to be it. And then so I drove around to where the football field was. There's no production vehicles, no working trucks or anything. So
where were they all hidden?
No, that wasn't the right location. We were next door at the apartment, the place that looked like an apartment complex.
I see.
Yeah. So it took me forever to figure it all out, but I finally did.
Yeah. Been there. And I mean, in my very first video shoot, I was an hour and a half late. It was so bad. And
for your own video shoot?
For my own video shoot. It was awful. The makeup artist was waiting, and it was like in Topanga Canyon Hills. It was like, you know, the dirt road and stuff where we were filming at. And we should have, usually you try and go to the location prior to shoot so you know how to get there and you know what you're expecting, what it looks like, how to set up and everything. And no one got service out there. So like we're trying to call and let them, hey, we're 20 minutes out, and we kept going. And I was in the car with my manager at the time, so we weren't even by ourselves. And neither one of us were like, why do we keep going in circles? And it turns out like everybody was late. Everyone was at least 30 minutes late because everyone had a hard time.
Nobody could find it.
We were an hour and a half late. It was crazy. It's like, oh my God. So they were already set up. They had to rush to do the makeup. So everything was kind of, we were behind schedule from like an hour and a half to after that, and going to the next shoot where we had to go. We went from Topanga to downtown LA, and we ended up being like an hour and a half late to the downtown LA location. So it just threw us off. But I definitely know what it's like. Yeah. Yes.
But that was a really good video. That's what's the name of
Addicted. Addicted was amazing. I worked with someone named Brian Lang, who's done numerous music videos. I think he's done like Selena Gomez, 3 6 Mafia. He's done a lot of like commercials, like Gillette. He's amazing. I was really grateful to work with him.
Was he the director?
Yes, he was the DP and the director.
Gotcha.
I mean, we kind of did it together because I had a vision in my head. But because I showed up an hour and a half late, he set up differently than what I envisioned. We had rented a certain place in Topanga Canyon where there's this bed and it sits outside on the hill.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But we didn't shoot there, so it's just kind of like when I pulled up and I was an hour and a half late, and it takes them like an hour to set up. They set up in the trailer where the bedroom is.
Right.
And I was like, I told my manager, like, this, if I want to shoot in the bedroom, I could have done that at my house. Right. I paid for this place so that we could shoot in the hills where this bed is just like floating and there's nothing around it. But I mean, you would never notice that from looking at the video. It looks amazing.
I wonder if it's the Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez did like remember her song, I Love You Like a
love song.
Is it that one? Yeah, like because if there's one scene or one location where they're out like in this huge canyon with this trees, and they color it really weird, and she has like the mariachi band, whatever it is.
I couldn't tell if that was Laguna or if that was Topanga.
I don't know. It might have been Laguna because there was a lot of flowers.
Yeah, because I filmed in Laguna too, where there's a lot of flowers too. So it might have, It
might have been Laguna. You're right.
Yes.
So that video, the production value on that was probably at least what, 50 to 60,000?
For the one for Addicted was, I think, so I didn't pay for all of it, so I'm not exactly sure the full budget, but my manager at the time had chipped in. I think that one was maybe like close to 20. It was on the lower end for a music video upcoming artist. It was like, I think it was like 50. I don't even think it was 20, to be honest with you. But we got like a $50,000 video for sure. And so
is that the one where like you also had like a downtown like penthouse location or apartment location where you're out on the balcony?
Yes.
So where did you guys shoot that on stage, or did you actually
we went to a location in downtown LA. Someone had it at their place. My manager had known them, and they rented the area out for us. It was insane. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous.
So I guess the big question is let's see, how do I ask? So did you guys pull your permits with Film LA?
No, not for this location, because it was at their private. Yes, exactly.
Did you know you're actually supposed to pull permits even if it's at a private residence?
And a private one? No, I actually don't handle that aspect,
Yeah,
thankfully. But yes, no. When at someone's house, we didn't.
Yeah, the deal is you're supposed to, but that's one reason. That's one way you can really help your budget. You know, because just the permits alone are crazy expensive.
That's why certain locations we didn't actually film out was just due to timing and permits and just having to wait. Sometimes to get them authorized can be a process, and then you got to think of the budget. But absolutely, yeah, that can be a process of its own, just the permits.
Yeah. When I shot my last video, California, which has been like 6 years now, that I directed and I produced it. Was
it the one with the band outside?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The one in Joshua Tree?
Yes.
We didn't pull permits for any of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did that video for people. I'm not even going to say how much money because people would lose their mind. I mean, because we really, I mean, I did that entire thing. I wrote it.
Wow.
Everything. It was like completely my idea. And the craziest thing about that video is it was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was when I moved to California, I had that video in my head. When I moved here.
That's amazing.
So that location in Amboy where you see like the bikes and everything out in the middle of the desert and the diner out there.
Yes.
That's called Amboy, California. And I had seen that in like is it Julio Iglesias or
I'm not sure. I haven't.
I Can Be Your Hero.
Oh yeah, Enrique
Iglesias. Julio's his dad, I think. So Enrique Iglesias, yeah. So he had that video with Jennifer Love Hewitt. I Can Be Your Hero.
Oh, she's in. Oh, that's
and
right.
That was shot in Amboy, California. Some of it, the little part of it was shot. Is a little part. I don't know. Quite a bit of it was shot in Amboy, California.
Okay.
And so when I lived in Texas, I remember seeing that video, going, "Dude, where is that? That's like the coolest location."
Right.
And so when I moved to California, I just had this like epiphany that like one day I'm going to direct a music video and it's going to be at that place where I didn't even know where it was. And I remember being in my little studio apartment in Long Beach, like looking up, trying to figure out what desert town. And I was Googling like Enrique Iglesias music video locations. And then I finally found it and I'm like, oh my God, that's like 150 miles from LA. I'll never do a music video out there. But you know, it's that, you know, the law of attraction kind of thing is kind of what I look at, you know, just like what you think about, you bring about. I kind of manifested that.
Yes, yes.
And then it was like the band were good friends of mine from Long Beach, and they had no idea what the video was going to be. I just told them, like, dude.
They just like gave you full control.
I said, dude, I have a great idea for a music video for that song. When I heard it, because they would play their music, because I would go to the bars and stuff that they were playing in Long Beach, because I lived down there. You were at my studio in Long Beach.
Yes.
So I would go and I would hear the music that they were playing, and they're a great band. And then I did, the way I actually met those guys is, I forgot. The way I met those guys is I did another music video for them, which it's on YouTube as well.
Okay.
The production value is the bottom of the bottom, because the way that music video happened was a friend of mine, Christian Palomares, he texted me one day and he's like, "Hey Rav, are you busy?" And I was like, I wasn't. I was just jacking around doing nothing in my studio, like editing photos or something. And I was like, no, not really. Like, what's going on? He goes, hey, I have this band, friends of mine, they have this band, and they're wanting to enter Jameson Whiskey Battle of the Bands contest for Jameson Whiskey, and they want to film like a little music video, or they want to film like a promo video or something. And I'm like, well, do they have a song? And he's like, yeah, they have this really good song. And I was like, well, you know, we could do like a little music video or something. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll let them know. And then he texts me back and he's like, yeah, they want to do it. It's cool, you know, if you can do like a music video.
Oh, that's so great.
I was like, oh, cool, you know. I was like, great. Like, when does it have to be, you know, like how long do we have to, you know, I said, I can put a treatment together and everything. And he goes, it has to be turned in like Friday. And this was like Wednesday.
Would the treatment have to be turned in?
No, the video has
the whole video.
The whole video has.
How many days did you guys have until Friday?
It's Wednesday.
It was you guys had like 2
Wednesday.
days.
So 2 days. Gosh. Yeah. So I was like, oh wow. So I was like, we would have to shoot it like right now to get it in by Friday. And so I was like, So I was like, well, that sounds like a challenge. And I was like, let me come listen to the band and their music. And if I like their music, we can look at doing it. And so I ended up, that camera right there underneath, you can't see it underneath the desk. It's my old wedding video camera. It's huge. It looks like a broadcast camera.
Wow.
So I picked it up, loaded some equipment, and drove over there. Loaded some lighting equipment, drove over to this house where they're at. The house was crazy. It looked like something out of like a kind of like a horror movie.
They were already starting to film?
No, there was just all this memorabilia in this house that they lived at, and the house was like it was like a California house, you know what I mean, from like the 60s, 70s. So
vintage.
It had like motorcycle helmets and like a just all this stuff. You'll have to watch the video.
I'll have to see.
And I literally just set my camera up, and then I told them, I'm like, well, do you have you guys recorded the song? And so all I needed the song. I said, you can lip sync to the song. We just need playback. And they're like looking at each other like, and I'm like, you guys.
Had they ever done a music video prior to this?
So come to find out, they had only been together for like a month, the whole band. They were brand new. They'd only been together for like a month. And I'm like, well, you guys don't have a song. We really don't have a music video if you haven't recorded a song.
They didn't even record this song
No,
yet?
they didn't even have a song recorded.
Oh my goodness.
No, they were just playing it live. They had no recording.
Oh,
They'd just gotten together. And I was like, huh. And I was like, well, I said, I'm going to buy a recorder, a voice recorder, but I don't have one right now. And then they had a violinist, and she goes, oh, I have one. She goes, but it's just a dictation recorder that I like record lyrics and stuff into, or I play into and then listen back.
Right.
I was like, because it's like a little teeny, you know, like a palm, or, you know, it's not even like a real music.
Exactly what you're talking.
It's like a dictation.
Yep.
You get it like Office Depot to talk into to keep notes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I was like, well, we could try it. I said, so I've forgotten something at the studio. I said, and it was literally only like 7 minutes down from my studio.
Okay.
I said, let me go back and get that lighting equipment, and then I'll come back. And while I'm gone, and we taped that dictation recorder to a mic stand. And I said, while I'm gone, you guys record, and we'll see what it sounds like when I get back. I went, got it, come back. Sounded amazing for what it was. And we ended up filming the video. And it's funny because the lead singer, Mateo, is singing into the microphone, right? And he's just singing away. And if you really look closely, there's not even a cord hooked up to the microphone. But if you look at it, and I did every bit of that video 100% myself.
Wow.
I shot it, I edited it, I did everything. And the craziest thing about it, out of like 500 or 600 entries, guess what? It won.
No way.
It won the Jameson of the Battle of the Bands contest. It
no
won.
way. That's amazing. Yep. So what did the winners get?
I don't know what they got. Like, I didn't really get anything.
Bragging rights?
Yeah, bragging rights. But they got like, you know, like some recording sessions, and I think it hooked them up with like a really high-end producer. And
oh, that's so amazing. Wow, how it comes together.
The coolest thing was, I don't remember what the venue was, but it was here in Orange County. It was like a fair venue or something, like maybe out at the OC Fair or something, but it was like a pretty good sized venue that had a bar and a stage and stuff in there. And so they got like Jameson threw like a party for the winners.
Oh, wow.
So there was probably like a couple of hundred people there. Wow. So I got invited to that, and that's
amazing. Cool. Yeah, so cool.
And then when we did the second video, California, that got premiered in downtown LA at LA. What was the name of that thing? LA Work or something like that. The big warehouse downtown that you used to see.
I'm sure I probably passed it several times.
LA Raw. I should know because I always look at it because it's like LA Raw, and I'm like LA Rav. But it's a W instead of a V. Okay. So LA Raw was this, you could Google it. I don't even know if it's still around, but it was like this big warehouse Coliseum kind of thing downtown.
Nice.
That it was a huge venue that they would have, and they had like at one time they had the biggest plasma TV thing in LA.
Wow.
So the video premiered there. It was actually really cool.
Oh, that sounds neat. Wow, that's good work. I got to check out both of those. I know I've seen one of them before. Can't remember. It's been a while since I was like watching it. But I don't think I saw the other one, so I definitely have to see the other one.
I'll have to send you a link to it. We would, or actually, I might edit it into the video here so people can see it.
Perfect. That'd be perfect.
That's one thing I love being in LA and so long. Is to see my friends. Like when I met you on the photo shoot, you were just this, how old were you? 22, 23?
Yeah, I was super young. I think I was like 21. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was around, if it was, about that age.
And then see where you've come. It's
How
like
far you've come.
Because I Google your name and I can see like licensed Getty images for you, like celebrity images and all that.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's always so fun to I just love seeing my friends, people that I know, come up,
grow.
You know what I mean, and grow.
And fulfill their dreams. I love to see that too. Like I see, my friends doing with them, like, oh my God, it's so amazing. Like I remember looking at her, and she was like, I have a friend who does PR now and she's doing so well. And she's got some clients from like Disney and she's doing like Bernie Sanders, and but a year and a half ago, I remember her living in Van Nuys, and she was just like, oh, my roommate's not paying rent, and and they had their rent was like $1,600 and they were having a hard time just paying that. And I look at her now and she's living in Hollywood and she's paying $4,000 a month, and I'm just like, look at the clients you have in just a year and a half. You know what I mean? You wanted a new car, and look at the car you're driving. Like, look, you got clients now, and she just, it's amazing. It's motivating too when you see your friends do it. You're like, oh my God, she's doing this. Like, it's very motivating and inspiring, and it makes you want to go out and do it. So I love it. Like when I came in and saw your whole setup, like, this is so cool. Like, and that's what it's all about. That's why it's good to do the in-person, because you don't get the feeling, the vibe, you know what I mean? You can always do it. Plenty of people are, especially for COVID, people are doing it online, but I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. I want to see the setup. That's what you work hard for, So yeah, it's neat.
So I really want to thank you, because when I did the studio and built it, as you can tell, even though I had so many problems today getting everything working properly, when I did this, I did it to have in-studio guests.
That's
what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Like this mixer right here will take 6 mic inputs. Oh. So I made it so if we had a host, if you wanted to bring like your manager or maybe somebody or a couple of your backup singers or dancers, or
that'd be next time.
I made it where we could do it like that. Even though I'm struggling because I just haven't practiced.
Reopened,
because of the pandemic, but I did this to have in-studio guests. And it was crazy because when I started this podcast, like the old episodes for like Rav Holly, I had 2 guests immediately that drove all the way to Joshua Tree to be on the podcast. And it wasn't even video at that time.
Aww.
And so I really just had this delusions of grandeur, I guess, that it was going to be very easy to get people to come into the studio. And even before COVID, like people are just, I don't know what it is, dude. People are different now.
Really?
Like, even like, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but even like, I've changed with my photography, right? Like used to, I was very lucky because I was at a time when with my photography that people came to me, like girls, like I had to turn girls down all the time because girls were hitting me up in the DMs. Hey, let's shoot. And I was more concentrating on paid work. You know what I mean? At that time. Now I'm more into the movie industry and music video production and stuff like that. So I want to shoot stuff just to shoot, you know what I mean? And now like I'll contact a girl, and I have a few Instagram followers, you know what I mean? But if I contact 15, 20 girls, probably none of them will touch base.
I also think, like, as I was looking at your some of your social media, your Instagram before, I don't think you're as active. So people look at that. They're like, oh, well, what is this person doing lately? Like, what is their work? Because I know anyone who wants to work with me, that's what I do. I mean, nowadays your social media is kind of like your resume, where they see like how many followers you have, what kind of work have you done, who have you worked with, what's your engagement, do people? And so I think before, when I first met you, were very active. Like you're constant, you know what I mean? And I think maybe that's what people look for. They're like, oh, what photos has he done? Who has he done? And I think just because you haven't posted anything, maybe that could be the reason, because you're still very active in real life.
The funny thing is I use Instagram stories. I don't post anymore to the to the page.
Yeah,
so
I
it
think
definitely
that's,
could be.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is you say that, is I was actually offered. Well, I wasn't offered. I don't know how to word this. I could have been verified, but when Instagram went through to verify me, they come back and said, you are not active enough. We only verify active accounts, and you're no longer active enough.
Yeah, they changed that for a lot of, even people with like 1 million followers are trying to get verified.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
And they changed it. And I had a PR company who's been doing PR for years, had some major clients, and they even said they're having a really hard time getting their clients verified, because so many people were getting verified who are nobodies.
Right.
And they were paying money to get verified. And they found out. So now it's making it for those who actually are qualified and working hard to be somebody, or working hard for their brand, and now it makes it harder for the rest of us to get verified, because they put in like these higher qualities to do that. So it's not just you, it's
well, with me, I screwed it up because I could have been verified, but I just wasn't active enough on Instagram.
But they're still saying that now. And
are they?
Yeah, they're still saying, and now it's like more stuff they look into, like they'll look you up too to see like if you're, I forget what the term was, to see if you're someone who is not a celebrity, but like if you're someone who is in high demand, or people are looking or searching you up enough.
Yeah. They want to see your search results and stuff like that.
I think something like that. So
yeah, see, at one time, God, it's been years ago now, there was it was not an app, it was a website called, I think it was called Clout.com. And people didn't even know about this now, but it was called Clout.com, but it was spelled with a K, Klout.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
No.
Okay, so it was called Clout.com, and it ranked your online presence.
Interesting.
So you got a number by how much clout you had online. And I was in like the top 5% back in 2008, 9, when that site was out there. So it made it very easy for me to get places, because people didn't just Google you and, look through stuff. All they had to do is go to Clout.
Interesting.
Because most people had because I think it was all the way, I think it rated you up to 100, and most people were hovering. I knew people that had a 55. You know what I mean? They think they were all that in a bag of chips.
Right.
And then I'd go to Clout.com, and they'd be ranked like a 55, because it ranked your people searching your name and everything.
Gotcha.
And I was ranked, when I very first came out, I was ranked an 87, and then within 2 or 3 months, I went up to an 88, and then I got pushed up to a 92, and then to a 94 out of 100.
Wow.
So if any media thing, that's how I got because they would just pull up Clout.com and see oh yeah.
Right.
Because it literally it graded your entire online presence, from how many people searched you to your videos that were out there. If you had your social media accounts, how many people were following you, how many people were interacting with your social media accounts. So when that kind of just went away, because I had worked really hard to build that number, and then it just disappeared overnight, or they turned it into something else. And I was dude, I was so into this. And then a moron, I had promoted it, you know what I mean? Or I would tell you, if you come into the studio, I'm like, girl, I looked you up on Clout, and you're you're at a 64. You should be at least.
Funny.
You should be at least at a 75 or an 80.
Wow,
so you got to get working on
funny.
your Clout. You got to post this time, and you know what I mean. And I would just give you tips, and then it just went away. And so people that I had pushed, I didn't push it on, but I'm work this and make it, because it's like your online
presence
scorecard. You know what I mean? And then it just disappeared overnight. I was like,
weird. I wonder why.
I don't know. It was actually a brilliant idea.
It's kind of cool. I mean, yeah.
Now the big thing is for years, I didn't have an IMDb. But I had stuff that I'd done. So I would get these notifications that, somebody had listed my name for a production on IMDb. And I would go in and look, and it would say, if this is you, claim it. You know what I mean? And I was like, I ain't messing with that. I ain't paying with that. I don't know how to do this. I don't mess with it.
Yes.
And then I started talking to a couple of people, and they're like, Rav, you literally have to get that set up. So I went in, I set it up, and I have an IMDb now, but it's only got like maybe 4 or 5 productions out of the probably 150 or 200 I've worked on, because I'm too lazy to go through everything.
Yes.
And then like one of them that I'm very proud of is like American Crime Story, The People versus O.J. Simpson.
Okay.
I was just a PA on that, or production assistant, but it's not even like listed on IMDb. It's like Versace, but that first, it's not even there.
Wow.
So weird.
That is weird.
But then I found out I could actually list it. If I wanted to go in and put it in.
You can do it yourself.
Yeah, I could
definitely.
do it myself, but I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I let my yearly $100, it's like $100 a year or something, I let it expire. I just remembered something.
What?
This is so funny. I was in Long Beach, when I lived in Long Beach one night, and I got addicted to this TV show called Californication. And I'm sitting there, laying in bed, and I'm watching Californication on my TV. And I'm laying in bed, just chilling, watching Californication. And this bar scene comes in, and I'm sitting there watching it. And then all of a sudden, I see, wait a minute. Rewind. And I'm like rewinding it and then trying to catch. I'm like,
right.
Oh my God, is that Vanessa?
That's so funny when you asked me that. That's funny.
I was like, maybe that's Vanessa's sister.
Yeah.
Because I know you have a sister, but I'd never seen her.
Right.
I was like, maybe that's her sister, because I didn't even know you had done any BG work at that time. And so I ended up stopping it and taking a photo with my phone. Like, I don't even know, like an iPhone 4 or something like that back in the day. And then I texted it to you, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I was watching Californication just now. And
That's
I'm like,
so funny. You're like, is this you or is this your sister?
And you're like, oh my God.
I was like, no, that's it. But it's funny because I never seen it. I've done a few things, and I've done a lot. Most of the things that I've done, I've never seen them. And that Californication, I think was the very first thing I did when I moved to LA. I think it was Californication. And then it just got more and more, and then I started getting other stuff, bigger stuff. But it was always more of a filler when the music was slower, or as I was trying to break out into the music. But yeah, I still have that on my Facebook. You posted the picture, and I thought that was so cool, because I was like, oh my God, I have to see this. I haven't seen it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was new to LA and the whole scene, and they're like, we want you up here. So I was like, okay. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Dude, if you would have got speaking lines, you didn't speak in that, did you?
Not in that one.
No.
That was my very first one.
But you were very prominent on camera. If you'd have got speaking lines, you could have got a yellow voucher. You know that, right?
Yes. People were telling me that.
Yeah.
I mean, at that time, I was
you had no
just,
idea.
First I think I did a few backgrounds, maybe like 3. I want to say 3 backgrounds before I got my first speaking line. And I think the biggest thing I did was in probably I did 2 actually. One was How I Met Your Mother, and then the other one was actually, it's more of an Amazon Prime thing. It's called Sangre Negra, and that one was my first speaking line one. So it's kind of like a mafia.
Was that a union? Was it a union gig? Probably. Right?
That one was, yeah. Well, the speaking one, I don't know how it works. I mean, I know I got it was really well paid, but I don't know if I was even union, but I was union qualified, so maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was then.
So are you SAG now?
I'm actually, I'm SAG qualified, but I still don't have because I kind of stopped doing it and just went into the music.
Because the dues are like $3,500 or $3,700.
Yeah, before at that time I think it was like $2,000, and I thought it was a lot. And so now people were telling me like, oh, they went up now. It's way more. The
craziest thing is, so when I first moved to California, I did some set photography stuff, which I found out now that's like, I don't even know exactly how it all worked, but I ended up getting to shoot on set as a set photographer for the first show I did was CSI Miami with Emily Proctor. Like David, what's his name? The redheaded guy, David.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the redheaded guy. Can't think of his name. He's super famous. He was
Yeah.
really famous on that show in NYPD Blue or something.
Okay.
But he wasn't there. I never saw him, but I was there with Emily Proctor working as a set photographer with her and took some pictures of her that was used on the website for CSI, the CBS website,
So
and everything.
cool.
Yeah, so it was so
That's
cool.
so cool.
It qualified me, and then I did Life on ABC's a pilot called Life on Mars, which ended up being a TV show.
Nice.
Like this cop that's he goes back in time to like the 60s.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cool. And I did that, and because that was ABC, and ABC has their own on-staff photographers.
Okay.
And because I got my days in for that, I could have joined like the local 600, and the local 600 dues were, I think, 6,500 or 6,000 at that time.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And I had been saving to buy a new camera, and the camera that I was buying, I think, was 5,500.
Wow.
So I was like thinking to myself, like, oh, should I do this or should I get my camera? Because I've been saving and saving and saving for this camera. You know what I mean? And, you know, putting money aside, and waiting to get this new camera because my camera was starting to age out. So I really needed to move into a new camera.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, you know, once I get this new camera, you know, I'll be able to shoot more and, you know, then I'll pay that dues maybe later.
Right.
And then it just never happened again. And it was one of those places that we come to in LA, especially, you have this fork in the road. You know, do I get the new camera or do I pay the dues? And now if I could go back 1,000 times, every single time I would have saved another $1,000 or pulled another $1,000 and paid those dues.
Yes.
Because being a set photographer, the day rate on that would have paid me. I mean, I would have been able to buy that camera, you know, within a couple of months.
That's
again.
true. That's
you know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
I screwed that up. I just didn't realize at the time.
Oh no.
But I wasn't set on being a set photographer at that time. You know what I mean? I was looking to be a commercial photographer, you know, shooting like magazines. I wanted to shoot like like Cosmopolitan and, you know, be People and, you know, all these different magazines back, Vanity Fair, you know.
So you weren't, that totally
that was
makes sense.
my whole you know, what I wanted to do was commercial photography. And set photography really would have been a good gig, but it's one of those things.
Right. Wow. Yeah, if we can go back, tell ourselves, our young selves, different things, that would be one of them.
So I have to ask you, it's kind of personal. I don't want to embarrass you. But that car you have outside, how long have you had that car?
I've had that car for a year.
Have you really? Mm-hmm. And it is the Tesla what?
3. Yes.
Because is that the cheaper one, the Model 3?
So
it's the expensive one.
No, it's actually now it's cheaper. When I got it, it wasn't. I think they have it now for like 45 or something, I want to say.
Is that the one that's got it? Do you have the dual motors?
Yeah, mine's not. Mine was actually, I think it's a little bit different than the one that's 40 or 45 now. They just started doing those Teslas at that price, and that's the very basic one. But mine actually has a lot of customization done to it, which actually
it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's like they got a light system in the inside. It's got the ceramic, which actually, what's that?
It's got like
your gaming
it's
system.
Got my LEDs and stuff in the side.
It's really cool. It has 1,400 different settings of colors. You can take a picture of whatever you're wearing, and if I take a picture of your pants, it's going to turn the inside of the car the same color. It's really neat.
It's a really cool car. It's funny because I'm not a big, huge electric car fan.
Me neither.
But I walked out and saw that car, and it's weird because I know what a Tesla is.
Yeah.
But your Tesla with like those black wheels and the blackout kit you have on that thing, it does not look like a Tesla. It was so weird because I walked out and I was like, what is she driving? and then I looked at it, I was like, is that a Tesla? And you're like, yeah, it's a Model 3.
It's so funny because even Tesla, when they see my car, like there's there's charging stations a lot of times at some malls you go
Right.
to. There'll be charging stations, and usually the charging stations are you have to go up the ramps, in the parking structure to the top. But so sometimes I'll run into them. It happened to me twice. One time at Topanga Mall and one time at Glendale, and I parked. I was like, how do you get to those Tesla chargers? That's so weird. Like, it's in a weird area, and I went through like these cones and I parked. Well, the first time I did it in Glendale Galleria, and then I parked and I'm sitting in my car and I was about to get out, and the girl knocks on my window. She's like, excuse me, you can't park here, like these Tesla chargers. She's like, whoa. And she saw my car. She's like, how did you do that? I'm like, do what? She's like, your car, how does it like light up? And she works for Tesla. And last week I was at the Topanga one, and the guy did the same thing. He's like, how does your car lights up? How does it light up like that? And then he's like, and where'd you get these wheels from? Like, can we take a picture? Can Tesla take a picture? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. They did a great job on my car. So yeah, definitely. But I knew what I wanted to. And a lot of people are doing the blackout. Like they're blacking out the chrome, which I did not do. I actually like the classy look of the chrome. So
my question is, did you special order it?
I did special order it.
Oh, that makes sense.
The lighting was aftermarket. Is that what you call it?
Yeah,
aftermarket. The lighting. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it looks freaking amazing.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I actually did that at Fantasy Motorsports in Northridge, and they specialize in like Tesla. When I was there, they had the Weekends car there at the same time. I was like, wow! I was like, whose car is this? At first, I thought it was the G-Wagon, the Mercedes Jeep, but it was huge. I can't remember which one it is. They only made like 10 of them. It's the Mercedes. It's huge, and I was like, dang, this.
Is it a truck? The truck?
It looks like the G-Wagon, but just think of the G-Wagon. Like,
oh yeah, it's the truck.
Okay, so, and it was way bigger, and they're like, oh yeah, that's the Weekends car. Your car and the Weekends car both. I was like, oh well, that's pretty cool. And someone that worked there at the time didn't know who the Weekend was, and later on, I was like looking at the inside, and another worker was like, yeah, that's some guy. His name's the Weekend. I guess he must be doing pretty good for having this. He had no idea.
That's hilarious. That's like me with DJ Khaled.
I was like, yeah, the Weekend. Yeah, he's pretty well known.
Pretty well known.
Yes.
You know what's funny is like, I knew who the Weekend was. I told my youngest son like who the Weekend was, like way before anybody knew who the Weekend was. I have this, I don't know, not epiphany. I don't know what word I'm trying to use. I discover musical artists, like underground musical artists that nobody knows who they are, and I'm listening to them and I'm pushing the music out there to my friends and stuff.
Right.
You have to listen to
yes.
this. And then I'm like going, why aren't they blowing up? Why don't they blow up? Or why don't they come mainstream? And then they do.
Oh my gosh.
And then
amazing.
when they do, I tell people like, I knew it, and they're like, yeah, sure you did. You know what I mean? Like the biggest one was The Weeknd. I knew who The Weeknd was
really?
before anybody knew who he was.
Wow.
Anybody. I've been listening to him for like 4 or 5 years before he became famous,
Wow.
before he became mainstream.
Okay.
And then he had this song called, oh my gosh, I can't think of the 2 songs. He had a music video that had like a naked Asian chick in it. It's called, I can't think of the name of it right now. But there's a couple of videos that he had that nobody really knew, and I knew him already. And then before that, after that was G-Eazy. Nobody knew who G-Eazy was, and I knew, you know who G-Eazy is now, right?
Yeah, but I just not recently, maybe like a year. No, it's probably been about 2 years that I've known who G-Eazy was.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like,
for a while I didn't.
Like 8 years ago, I was in Vegas and heard G-Eazy on a local Vegas station, and made a Facebook post about it.
Wow.
Like, I'm sitting here in Vegas and G-Eazy's on the radio. That's so crazy. And everybody's like, who the hell's is G-Eazy?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, Tumblr Girls. Like, have you ever seen that video, Tumblr Girls? It's so cool.
No.
Like, he's not even really in. You just see, like, barely see him, but it's like just all these. It was made like the Tumblr.
I think I realized who he was with the song that he did with, what's her name?
Yeah. I know it.
Halsey. Yes.
Yeah, that's like brand new stuff.
Yes.
When they were dating.
Yes,
Halsey, yeah.
exactly. That's when I found out who he was. Yeah.
So look up Tumblr Girls, and then he has.
Okay.
There's a few of them like
Okay.
Tumblr Girls. So Tumblr Girls was a really one because I was the dirty old man on Tumblr, and there's all of these
Okay.
good looking like
Gotcha.
20-year-old chicks and
I remember
stuff.
Tumblr. Is Tumblr still?
It's basically dead now.
Okay.
But the deal with Tumblr was I don't even know. There's no PC way to put this. So basically, there's a lot, I don't know, not really promiscuous girls, but now I don't even know where that's at. Because it's not really on IG, because you can't do a lot of nude. Well, you can do full butt nudity.
Oh yeah,
on
there's
IG.
booty everywhere.
But
yeah.
like, so the Tumblr thing, what made it original is there were girls on there that would take very, not really erotic, but very artistic photos and selfies, like
Okay.
completely nude. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay. Mhm.
Not porn nude, like actual
Like
artistic,
artistic.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But they would be completely nude.
Yeah.
And they would have like, they would put like, it was the first place. So this is where kind of Instagram, like I saw Tumblr before the Instagram.
Wow.
With the filters, because
Right.
these girls were using the filters to make their
Yes.
photos look like from the 70s and
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I remember with my crappy cell phone driving down the 101 one night, and I took a picture and I used one of those Tumblr filters on my picture, and it looks like a 35 millimeter.
Wow.
Yeah, the filters on there worked great. Or the I don't remember, it was a website you used that wasn't Tumblr that got those filters. I can't remember, but there was so much cool stuff on Tumblr back in the day.
Yeah,
But it
never
was
used
just
it.
there was nudity everywhere.
Gotcha.
So there was all kinds of things going on
Right.
on Tumblr.
I think that's OnlyFans now.
I think you're right. It's so funny. You know what's funny is like a lot of people like love to hate on the OnlyFans, but I know a couple of girls. I know one girl that's making about $4,000 a week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what people are getting
Yeah.
on there. I was like, and a couple friends of mine and myself were like, well, what are they all like just doing like naked stuff? And they weren't.
No, they're just doing regular posts.
Yeah, they're doing regular stuff. So we looked into it and stuff like that, and none of us stuck to. We just got so busy. But
Yeah.
I definitely like, you can't knock them, like the hustle, and they're making their money, and
Like
yeah.
the picture that was up here when you got here, that's Zulika, Zulika Silver.
Okay.
And so she has, like, it's a whole other level from OnlyFans. It's like a website. I'm not even exactly sure how she does it. It's just like OnlyFans, but it's not through an OnlyFans. It's like a real website.
Okay.
So you go to like, I think it's like zulikasilver.com, and it's the exact same kind of platform, but it's her own website.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly how much money she's making, but I know she was hustling as an actress because she's been on like 911.
Right.
She is an actress, and she's actually a really good actress.
Oh, okay.
And she's Hispanic.
Okay.
And it's crazy because when I saw, I met her through her sister. I found her through her sister who was
Okay.
an MUA, a makeup artist.
Right.
And that's how I started following her, because she's like, you should check out my younger sister. She's so hot. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, let me look. And I was like, oh my
You're
God,
so
she
funny.
is. I was like, she is hot. And so I started following her, you know what I mean? And I've been following her for years, and we talk from time to time through like Instagram and stuff mostly. But I know she was really out there doing auditions and pushing her tapes in and doing all these things. And now she's lounging at she's got a big, huge loft. I don't know where her loft is, but I mean, it's got huge concrete walls, and
Wow.
it's all modern loft. And, because she's hinted like a couple of times, like she couldn't believe like how much dudes would pay just to see her boobs or something like that.
Yep.
She's like blown away.
Yeah.
But I know she's making a pretty penny.
There's a lot of girls, I've seen a lot of like the podcasts and the interviews of some of the girls, and she's like, I never thought I'd do it, but she's like, now I'm making $20,000 a month, and she's like,
That's
I
real
can be
money right
topless.
there.
She's like, I'll just strip, I'll have my pool in my house or something, and she gets like get down to her G-string, and I'm like, I mean, everyone, does it their own thing, you know what I mean? So whatever works for everybody, that's their thing. Yeah.
I don't hate on it at all. The other thing, or like, I don't know, it's just, with the pandemic, like a lot of girls started it during the pandemic. And I mean, what gets me is the blatant hypocrisy. Like guys hating on girls, like she's an OnlyFans girl, I could never date, that kind of stuff. Dude, like she's making a living for herself, like, and she's making her own money, and it's pretty easy money. And she's not like, because before OnlyFans, there was two ways. If girls wanted to do something like that, there was three ways it would go. One way, they would get into the porn industry, full on the porn industry. And I know several of those girls that have went that route. And that's because there was no OnlyFans out there. You had to be represented to do something. So they'd end up in like hardcore porn industry, or they would become dancers, like, at a strip club.
Right.
There was that way. Or they would have like a dirty boyfriend that they would take provocative photos with that were never supposed to be seen, and he would post them online or something, and then they would get out everywhere. And if you ever Googled their name, they would pop up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this OnlyFans, what I think is it makes the girl in charge of her own destiny. I'm not a member of any girls' OnlyFans.
Me either.
But I think it puts a girl in charge of their own destiny, which I like that because they can do what they want. Mm-hmm. I've worked with Bella Thorne, and so she stirred up this huge controversy. I made there's a whole thing about that. I'm not going to get into it, but I don't know. I just think I don't hate on the girls that do the OnlyFans. We're getting ready to wrap this up. I've had you here forever. But I wanted to talk really quick about one thing I do love about you is I don't know exactly where you stand, but I know that like your music is very positive. There's like no profanity in it. It almost is like it's not Christian, but it's pop.
I love it.
But it does have a little bit of that aspect to it. And I think you are a Christian. And am I wrong there?
No, I am. Yeah. I definitely am Christian. It's so great that you say that because that's exactly what I'm doing. Actually, I don't want to necessarily write to where I'm just pinpointing my music to Christians or worship music, but to create great pop music or dance music that many people can relate to. But I want to do something to where most of it's positive but relatable, and it is all inspired by God. Absolutely, all of it's inspired by God. Even better days when I talk about moving mountains, like watch me move these mountains, like that's what God's gonna help me move. Like I'll overcome these. You know what I mean? There's subliminal messages about God. And when I first started writing, like my very first song, "Addicted," was obviously about a guy. All my stuff is based off of my personal experiences, but my writing has definitely changed now that I write off of more of a place of defeat and battles and anxiety or like loneliness and stuff like that so many people go through. And that's what I want. I want it to be able to connect with the listeners. So all my music is I call it positive faith-based pop music. Because I'm not like saying God this, or I'm not speaking about, but anyone who actually knows the Bible will understand the message, because I am using words strictly from the Bible that a lot of people won't know unless you know the Bible. So yeah.
You're born and raised here, right?
No, I'm not born and raised here. I mean, I was born in West Covina, yes, but I moved around a lot because my dad was in the military.
Oh, that makes sense. It's just that could be deemed controversial here in LA. But so have you thought about going down the Christian music route? Because that's a huge, huge market.
That's something that definitely, because I want my music to be able to be played on Christian music. So that's basically I'm doing to where my music can be played on Christian stations, but it can also be played on pop stations, So I just didn't want it to be catered just to one crowd. I wanted it to be relatable music. It's basically positive, relatable music. That's, you could, like, I like to say faith-based, because there's a subliminal message in there about God on all of these new songs, but I'm not singing like a worship, like a worship singer would sing. And I love worship music, don't get me wrong, but it's about finding your niche and like trying to create something different. And so that's kind of where I feel like I want to separate myself. But definitely, yeah, I would love my stuff to be on Christian stations, and absolutely, yes.
That's one thing I do love about your music, that you stay true to your core beliefs and who you are. And, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but, there's certain pop stars now that, you kind of, it's not shade, but it, I guess you could call it talking trash. But we'll just take Katy Perry, for example. She was raised in a Christian home. She had a Christian background. She started in her faith-based musical career until she came to Hollywood, and then that kind of went right out the window. And then she's doing stuff like Dark Horse that has like weird. I'm not going to get into it's a deep rabbit hole we could go down. That's like into the conspiracy theory. So we're not going to go down that. But I just look and go, it's not that I don't think she's sold out. You know. she became super famous for it. But I really admire you for staying true to who you are and
Thank you. It
and putting out a positive vibe.
That's what it's about. It's just putting out a positive, and to let people know they're not alone. Your mental health, like, so especially during a pandemic, like people are getting a lot of anxiety, a lot of loneliness and depression and suicide, and it's important to let people know that you're not going through this alone. There's so many people, the people you would least expect it. I mean, I've gone through it where thankfully when if a depression hits me, it doesn't last more than like 2 days, but those 2 days are awful. You know what I mean? And there's some people who just go through it constantly. And so I think it's important for us to let others know that, hey, you're not alone. Even someone who you look on their social media and it looks like they have a perfect life. It's not greener on the other side. Let me tell you.
You never know what battles they're fighting in private.
No, you don't. And they just post what you want them to see. And that's another song I'm writing about, I'm writing about just, you guys will see, everyone will definitely hear it, but it's just about that, looking on social media and how it can be so tainted, and you think you're looking at someone's life from the outside and it's so perfect, and it's not what you think it is. It's really not.
Social media really whitewashes everything to an extent, and I'm guilty of that. I think some of us we're all guilty of that. Just posting the, the stuff that's good. Because we don't feel worthy of posting stuff. When we're not feeling good.
Right, and you want to put like a positive impact. Like if you're posting stuff about you crying or sad or just like negative all the time, people don't want to hear that. Yeah. But it's also important, which brings me to a good point, because that's the same thing with me. Like, I'm always just trying to post positive things, but then I told my friend, I don't want them to post this bad stuff or what I'm going through. And she said, maybe a little bit of that is good, so they know you're human, so they know what you're going through, because they look at your life and they're thinking that you just have it all perfect from what they see. But if you let them know, hey, you're sitting here, your anxiety or your finances, or, you're lonely and all this stuff, they realize, hey, her life isn't that perfect either. Right. So it's true. It's important for us to not just put out all the good, but a little bit of bad, so people know you're human and they're not alone. But also, you don't want to put out too much negative, because no one, that's what Facebook is. Yeah. We got Facebook for that.
Exactly. I just want to thank you sincerely for coming in.
Yes.
Because I know you and I have had a couple of we've kind of went down the political discussion. And we don't always see eye to eye on politics and stuff.
Right.
And in the climate that we're in nowadays, it's so tribalism is like you're on one side and you're on one, whatever.
Yeah.
And, it's a blessing that I still have you as a friend. Right, and I want to thank you so much for driving all the way out here from LA to Orange County to do this. Was
support.
Yeah, just support. And I really want to see, I can't wait to be able to hopefully see you at the Grammys and walking the red carpet. So and you just keep pushing forward. It's refreshing though to see what you're doing in the productions and doing everything. And I just hope you just keep pushing, because what I tell everybody is, people ask me for career advice and stuff, which I'm not really the person to ask, but I tell everybody that it doesn't matter what you want to do. You've got 10 years to get there.
I'll never forget you told me that when we were hiking.
Oh, yeah. 10 years. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you want to be a doctor, you got 8 years of medical school, and then you got an intern, if put it on a 10-year path.
No, mine's been more than 10 years.
But it'll start, but you haven't been constantly pushing.
True.
Yeah, I'm talking about hustling the entire time.
Yeah.
Think about Jeff Bezos. Mm-hmm. Think about Elon Musk. Yes. All the hours those guys were putting in. I'm guilty of it too, of taking breaks from stuff or switching up, and being doing this and going a different direction. But if you really have something you're passionate about, do you know who Alan Watts is? Mm-mm. He's got a couple of video sayings and stuff that's just it's so on point. I'll send them to you.
Yes, please.
And one of them is it's better to live a short life doing what you want than a long life being miserable.
Absolutely.
There's so many gems in there. And then there's one he talks about, people ask about, what you do. He goes, I tell you what you do. What do you want to do? Do you like horses? Maybe you want to be an equestrian. You do that. You keep doing that. Don't worry about the money, but you just keep doing that and the money will come. There's
That's
so
amazing. That's so amazing. And you know what's funny is that's exactly how it is, because I feel like as an artist, you have to pay your dues and do a few free shows, and then eventually it's like, okay, that's enough. Now it's taking advantage, and they do that. People do that a lot with artists, not just me. I mean, there's like a whole community. Oh my gosh, where they're just like want so much live
free.
music for free, and but it's actually it's funny that you say that, because I've during COVID is actually the first time, and even now, that I've had full time just music. And even during COVID, I wasn't able to perform and wasn't making money off of it. But I feel now that it's like coming towards the end of it, I just feel like so busy with music, because that's the first time I've ever full time just worked on music, recording. I have a team people, I've danced. I mean, it's just an incredible blessing.
You have a dancing coordinator and everything?
Yeah, right now it's like for our live shows. Yeah, we were supposed to have a great show actually tomorrow, and
at RuPaul, what was it?
It was called the first annual Pride Festival in Downey with RuPaul. Yeah.
Oh, in Downey. Nice. That's right over here.
Yes, and it was canceled, unfortunately.
I have like a handful of my friends that I've known for a long time, and I see them on TV, and I see them doing different things. I know that sooner or later, one or two or three of you are going to pop off and hit that Katy Perry status. I'm hoping it's you. Aww. And what I love about you is you write your own music, you perform your own music, and you're getting better and better at it. Yeah,
you do. You get better with experience and growth. Definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And we're going to wrap this up. Once upon a time, we went on I don't know if it was a date, kind of a date. We had sushi. Do you remember that? In the valley.
It was like a lunch, I think, right?
Was it a lunch? We went to a sushi restaurant.
I think it was like 5, so maybe that was dinner.
Where was it at? It was in, it was out in the valley. Studio City. I think it was like Studio City. It wasn't North Hollywood.
Maybe it was. Well, no, it definitely was.
It was like Culver City or Studio City or somewhere. I think it was
the Valley.
There.
It was Studio City. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that was nice.
We should do that again sometime.
Yeah, it was nice. I can't remember where it was, but
I don't either.
That was it. We did that, and that was after I had first met you. I think around the first time, and after that, I think it was like, what, a year or 2 years later?
Until we saw each other again? No,
and then that's when you saw the Californication thing, right?
Oh, that's right.
And then
I texted you. It's so funny, like with LA, because we all get so busy with our daily lives. You just lose contact with people, which is weird.
Yeah, I try and stay in touch.
Like when I lived in Dallas, like your friends, or you know what I mean? Like you'd meet somebody, you'd become really good friends. You like hang out, and people are so, like if you live, like nobody wants to drive or commute in LA.
Really?
Like 15, 20 minutes. That's why I was so surprised when you're like, yeah, I'll come out and do it personally.
Oh yeah, no, I'm actually surprised at the amount of people that don't drive, period, out here. I just think it's so weird how you cannot drive. Like,
oh, I know girls that don't even have cars.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly. I think to me, I just think it's the weirdest thing. Yeah, get yourself a car. I mean, especially if you're a guy. Like
the funny thing is that one wheel right there. You see it? I don't know if you can sit on the floor. That's my transportation now. I ride that thing everywhere.
No way,
if I don't have to drive, man, I'll ride that thing everywhere.
Oh, man, that's perfect. That's perfect. I actually try and drive as little as possible, to be honest. But
well, I was going to say with the price of gas right now, but you don't have to worry about that.
No, I don't. And I realize it because I have another car that, obviously is gas. I have another one.
Where do you live?
I'm in Studio City.
Yeah,
actually.
You're in Studio City.
I love it. Yeah, I'm in Studio City.
I think that's where we had sushi that time.
I wasn't in Studio City during that time. No, I wasn't living in Studio City during that time. I don't know where I was, but I was in Studio City. Maybe I was in Encino or something. I don't know. But yeah, I love Studio City. And gas is outrageous because I was taking my other car out, which does take gas. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is insane. I'm so glad I got an
electric car, right?
Yeah, an electric car, because it's just like,
and
wow.
What do you get, like 330 miles on that thing?
Yeah, I think it's 330.
Yeah, that's perfect for LA because you can drive around all day.
Oh my gosh, I just charge it like once a week usually. I can go all the way.
Really?
I can go all the way to San Diego without even.
That's true. Yeah, it's only 99 miles.
So I can drive pretty far, and I usually will drive around all of LA, Beverly Hills, a lot of meetings and stuff, and usually only once a week that I have to charge it. It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. I love it.
Well, it's that time. We got to wrap this thing up, and I want to thank you so much again for coming into the studio. You really
Absolutely.
made my day.
Yay.
I wasn't even sure that we were going to do this. I was like, I have no idea if she'll drive all the way out here.
Yeah.
So it was really a pleasant surprise.
Got
I
it.
just really want to thank you again for coming and having you on the podcast. And it was amazing to see you again.
Thank you so much. It was great.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of the American Nomad Podcast. I want to thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the like button down below. It will help us out in the YouTube algorithm, and it doesn't cost you a thing.
Thank you for listening to the American Nomad Podcast. Until next time, keep looking up because that's where it all is.